Hello my dear students, welcome back to this video session. In this today's video session, we are going to learn Unit 3 Fluids. The topics are pressure in fluids, density of fluids and their application in practical life. Come, let's enter into this lesson.
Hello students, today we are going to learn Unit 3 Fluids. Dear student, why a small iron nail sinks in water but a huge ship of heavy mass floats on a sea water? Why? Why astronauts have to wear a special suit while traveling in space? What is the reason? All these have a common reason called pressure. If the pressure increases in a solid based on its inherent properties, it experiences tension and ultimately deforms or breaks. When you apply pressure on solid, what will happen? It starts breaking. This is because the particles are already packed closely together so that solids cannot be compressed easily. In the case of fluids, it causes them to flow rather than to deform. Why? Liquids are usually considered incompressible. Inside the liquid, the molecules are already close together so that it is difficult to compress them anymore. So, liquids are flowing rather than to deform. Deform means break. Although liquids and gases share some common characteristics, they have many distinctive characteristics on their own. Gases are easily compressible, but liquids are incompressible. Learning of all these facts helps us to understand pressure better. In this lesson, you will study about pressure in fluids, density of fluids, and their application in practical life. Let's see all these topics. Pushing a pin into a board by its head is difficult, but pushing it by the pointed end is easy. Why? Have you ever wondered why a camel can run in a desert easily? Why a truck or a motor bus has wider tire? Why cutting tools have sharp edges? In order to answer these questions and understand the phenomena involved, we need to learn about two interrelated physical concepts called thrust and pressure. When you stand on loose sand, your feet go deep into the sand. Now lie down on the sand. What happens? You will find that your body will not go that deep into the sand. Why? In the both cases of the above activity, the force exerted on the sand is the weight of your body, which is the same. This force acting perpendicular to the surface is called what? Thrust. So this force acting perpendicular to the surface is called what? Thrust. When you stand on loose sand, the force is acting on an area equal to the area of your feet. When you lie down, the same force acts on an area of your whole body which is larger than the area of your feet. Therefore, the effect of thrust depends on the area on which it acts. So, the effect of thrust on sand is larger while standing than while lying. So, what is thrust? The force applied on a surface in a direction perpendicular to the surface. That is thrust. So, force acting perpendicular to the surface is called what? Thrust. Its SI unit is Newton, symbol is N. Now, what is pressure? The effect of thrust per unit area is called pressure. So, pressure is a scalar quantity How to find the pressure? We have formula. Formula for pressure is equal to thrust by area. Its SI unit is Pascal. It is denoted as PA. 1 Pascal is equal to 1 Newton per 1 meter square. Why it is very painful? A single nail pricks our body. Why there is a less pain when you lie down on a bed of nails? This is because area of contact is more. A larger area in contact with the nail tips means pressure from any one nail is very low. So larger area and less pressure. Now we'll see the topic of fluids. All the flowing substance, both liquids and gases, are called fluids. So what is fluids? A fluid is any substance that has no definite shape and has the ability to flow. Both liquids and gases are fluids. Example, air can flow and has no definite shape. Like solids, fluids also have weight and therefore exert pressure. When fluid filled in a container, the pressure of the fluid is exerted in all directions and at all points of the fluid. Since the molecules of a fluid are in constant, rapid motion, particles are likely to move equally in any direction. Therefore, the pressure exerted by the fluid acts on an object from all directions. So, pressure is on all sides of the object no matter what its shape. So, pressure is perpendicular to the surface of the object. Okay. So, pressure in fluid. How to calculate the pressure in fluids? We have the formula to calculate pressure in fluids. Formula for calculating the pressure in fluids, its SI unit for pressure is the Pascal PA, which is equal to 1 Newton per 1 meter square. Pressure in pascals is equal to force in newtons by area in meters square. So for pressure, P is equal to, for force is F by area A. So what is the pressure formula? P is equal to F by A. We shall first learn about the pressure exerted by liquids and then learn about the pressure exerted by gases. Now pressure due to liquids. We can see in this figure the pressure is acting on all sides of the vessels. Why? The force exerted due to the pressure of the liquids on a body submerged in it and on the walls of the container, that is always perpendicular to the surface. So in this we can understand pressure will act on all sides of the vessels. First we saw the pressure will act on all sides of the vessel. Now liquid pressure exerts force upwards. When an air-filled balloon is immersed inside the water in a vessel, it immediately comes up and floats on water. This shows that water exerts pressure in the upward direction. That is why it comes upward. Okay. So, in this what you understand, water exerts pressure in the upward direction. Similarly, liquid pressure acts in lateral sides also. When a bottle having water is pierced means hole, on the sides we can see water coming out with a speed. This is because liquid exerts lateral pressure on the walls of the container. In this we can able to understand liquid exerts lateral pressure on the walls of the container. Now, factors determining liquid pressure in liquids. Pressure exerted by a liquid at a point is determined by depth. It is denoted as H. Density of the liquid, it is denoted as rho. acceleration due to gravity, it is denoted as g. Let's do an activity to understand pressure varies as depth increases. Okay, take a large plastic can. Punch holes with a nail in a vertical line on the side of the can as shown in the figure. Then fill the can with water. The water may just dribble out from the top hole, but with increased speed at the bottom holes as depth causes the water to squirt out with more pressure. From this activity, we can infer that pressure is varies as depth increases, but it is same at a particular depth independent of the direction. Let's do another activity to understand pressure. It depends on density of the liquid. Take two liquids of different densities, say water and oil, to the same level into plastic container. Whatever oil you can take. Make holes in the two containers at the same level. What do you see? It can be seen the water is squirting out with more pressure than oil. This indicates that pressure depends on density of the liquid. Last one is the acceleration due to gravity. So the pressure due to a liquid column. Take a tall beaker is filled with liquid so that it forms a liquid column. Okay, so the area of cross section at the bottom is capital A. The density of the liquid is rho. Already we know that. The height of the liquid column is what? H. In other words, the depth of the water from the top level surface will take it as h. So we know that thrust at the bottom of the column, F is equal to weight of a liquid. Thrust is equal to force and force is equal to thrust. Okay, so F is equal to what? Weight of the liquid. What is the formula for force? F is equal to mass into acceleration due to gravity. So F is equal to small m and small g. If you want to find out the force, we have to know mass of the liquid. Okay, so we can get the mass of the liquid by multiplying the volume of the liquid and its density only. So first you need to find out the mass of the liquid. So what is the formula for mass? M is equal to rho into volume. Okay, that is density into volume. So M is equal to rho into V. That is the second equation. Now you have to find mass of the liquid. So how you will find the mass of the liquid? Mass of the liquid is equal to density into volume. You have to know what is density and what is the volume. Volume of the liquid column V is equal to area of cross section A into height H. So by multiplying these two only will get volume of the liquid column. So when you multiply, what is the volume of the liquid column? A into H. You take that is the third. Okay, now substituting 3 in 2. Okay, we got the third equation. Now substitute 3 in 2. What is 2? M is equal to rho into volume. Okay, that is density into volume. So in that we are going to substitute the volume. Okay, so rho into what? Volume is AH, area of cross section, into height. Okay, so now you got the mass of the liquid. Mass of the liquid is equal to rho into area of cross section into height. Now this one you take it as 4. Now substituting 4 in 1. You already know first one. What is that? Force is equal to mass into acceleration due to gravity. In that formula we are going to substitute this fourth one. So mass is what? Rho into AH and gravity. Okay, now we want to find out the pressure. What is the formula for pressure? P is equal to thrust F by area A. Already we know that formula for force, M into G, and area is A. So is equal to what is force that you want to substitute in this? Okay, so rho into A into hg, that's what we got by A. The area of cross section AA get cancelled, so what you will get finally, rho into height into gravitation. Okay, rho is the density, h is the height, and g is the acceleration due to gravity. Finally, what we got, pressure due to liquid column P is equal to h into rho into g. So this expression shows that pressure in a liquid column is determined by depth, density of the liquid, and acceleration due to gravity. So interestingly, the final expression for pressure does not have the term area A in it. Thus, pressure in liquid depends on what? Depth only. Let's do one problem. Calculate the pressure exerted by a column of water of height 0.85 meter. Density of water, so we already know that density is denoted as rho. Water, for water we have written W is equal to 1000 kilogram meter per cube. And kerosene of same height, density of kerosene, for kerosene rho K is equal to 800 kilogram meter per meter cube. So pressure due to water, what is the formula to find out that? Already we know that, now only we got that answer. P is equal to rho into height h into g. So that is density into height into gravity. So P is equal to h rho g. For water we are writing rho W. So what is the height? 0.85 meter. And what is the density of water? 1000 kilogram per meter cube. And what is the g? That is gravity, acceleration due to gravity, 10 meter second per minus 2. So when you multiply these three value, you will get 8500 Pascal. Okay, for pressure unit is what? Pascal, so that we'll write PA. Now we'll find out pressure due to kerosene. The same formula. So what is the height? 0.85 meter and 800 kilogram per meter cube into same acceleration due to gravity. When you multiply these three value, will get 6800 Pascal. So pressure due to water is 8500 Pascal. Pressure due to kerosene is 6800 Pascal. So you have to remember this formula. So pressure is equal to what? Rho into pressure due to liquid column P is equal to rho into height into G. So HPG. Now we'll learn about atmospheric pressure and how atmospheric pressure acts like a column. Our earth is surrounded by a layer of air up to certain height, nearly 300 kilometer, and this layer of air around the earth is called what? Atmosphere of the earth. Since air occupies space and has weight, it also exerts what? Pressure like liquid solid. Okay, this pressure is called what? Atmospheric pressure. The atmospheric pressure we normally refer is the air pressure at sea level. Okay, so that air gets thinner with increasing altitude, hence the atmospheric pressure decreases as we go up in the mountains. On the other hand, air gets heavier as we go down below the sea level like mines. So air pressure and density are higher at sea level because a taller column of air pushes down. Okay, we can able to see the atoms and molecules are more. Okay, air pressure when you go higher, okay, air pressure and density are lower at higher altitude because a shorter column of air pushes down. See two example to understand atmospheric pressure acts like a column. Our human lungs is well adapted to breathe at a pressure of sea level 101.3 K Pascal. As the pressure falls at greater altitudes, mountain climbers need special breathing equipments with oxygen cylinders. Without oxygen cylinders, they cannot able to breathe properly. Okay, so they will carry the breathing oxygen cylinder. Okay, so now similarly, special equipments are used by people who work in mines. Why? Where the pressure is greater than that of sea level. That is why they also need a special equipment to breathe properly. Why? Because there is a greater pressure than that of sea level. Let's see the construction and working of mercury barometer. The instrument used to measure atmospheric pressure is called barometer. A mercury barometer, first designed by an Italian physicist, Torricelli, consists of a long glass tube closed at one end, open at other, filled with mercury and turned upside down into a container of mercury. This is done by closing the open end of mercury filled tube with the thumb and then opening it after immersing into a through of mercury. The barometer works by balancing the mercury in the glass tube against the outside air pressure. If the air pressure increases, it pushes more of the mercury up into the tub, and if the air pressure decreases, more of the mercury drains from the tube. As there is no air trapped in the space between mercury and the closed end, there is vacuum in that space. Vacuum cannot exert any pressure, so the level of mercury in the tube provides a precise measure of air pressure, which is called atmospheric pressure. This type of instrument can be used in a lab or weather station. Now you understand the instrument about the mercury barometer. Let's do one problem. A mercury barometer is a physics laboratory shows a 732 millimeter vertical column of mercury. Calculate the atmospheric pressure in Pascal. What are the given values? Given density of mercury is what? Rho is equal to 1.36 into 10 to the power 4 kilometer per meter cube. And gravity, we know that G is equal to 9.8 meter second minus 2. So now we will calculate the atmospheric pressure in the laboratory. P is equal to H into rho into G. That is the pressure due to a liquid. Okay, so what is the height? Height of the liquid column is that 732 millimeter, that is into 10 to the power minus 3, into what is the density of mercury? 1.36 into 10 to the power 4, and acceleration due to gravity is that 9.8. So when multiplying these three value, will get 9.746 into 10 to the power 4 Pascal. That is the pressure unit. So when you keep the point before one digit, will get 0.976 into 10 to the power 5 Pascal. Now we are going to see the topic is gauge pressure and absolute pressure. Our daily activities are happening in the atmospheric pressure. We are so used to it that we do not even realize. When tire pressure and blood pressure are measured using instruments, gauges, they show the pressure over the atmospheric pressure. Hence, absolute pressure is 0 referenced against a perfect vacuum, and gauge pressure is 0 referenced against atmospheric pressure. Let's learn detailedly about gauge pressure and absolute pressure and how to measure this two pressure. How they are measuring gauge pressure and absolute pressure. In this figure we can able to understand that what is gauge pressure and how they measuring the absolute and gauge pressure. In this, the center blue line, it is the atmospheric pressure. Okay, above the atmospheric pressure will denoted as A, and below the atmospheric pressure will denoted as B. if I take any pressure from absolute zero, that is known as absolute pressure. Okay, if we measure from absolute zero, it may be above the atmospheric also, it is known as absolute pressure. If I take any pressure above the atmospheric pressure, is known as gauge pressure. Above the atmospheric is gauge pressure, it is positive, and below the atmospheric pressure is the negative or vacuum. Okay, next, the pressure below the atmospheric pressure is known as vacuum pressure. The pressure below the atmospheric pressure is known as vacuum pressure. So, absolute pressure is measured from absolute zero. Gauge pressure measured above the atmospheric pressure, taking atmospheric or as zero. Vacuum pressure less than the atmospheric pressure. Vacuum pressure, how we will measure? Pressure less than the atmospheric pressure. I think now you understood. For pressure higher than atmospheric pressure, absolute pressure is equal to atmospheric pressure plus gauge pressure. For pressures lower than the atmospheric pressure, absolute pressure is equal to atmospheric pressure minus gauge pressure. We have seen that liquid column exert pressure. So, the pressure inside the sea will be more. This is more than twice the atmospheric pressure. So, our parts of our body, especially blood vessels and soft tissues, cannot withstand such high pressure. So that scuba divers always wear special suits and equipments to protect them. Now the topic is Pascal's law. Pascal's principle is named after Blaise Pascal, 1623 to 1662, a French mathematician and physicist. This law states that the external pressure applied on an incompressible liquid is transmitted uniformly throughout the liquid. Let's see the demonstration of Pascal law. Pascal's law can be demonstrated with the help of a glass vessel having holes all over its surface. Fill it with water. Push the piston. The water rushes out of the holes in the vessel with the same pressure. The force applied on the piston exerts pressure on water. This pressure is transmitted equally throughout the liquid in all directions. This principle is applied in various machines used in our daily life. That one of the machine is based on this Pascal law is that hydraulic press. Let's see what is hydraulic press. Hydraulic press. This hydraulic press works on the principle of Pascal's law. It consists of two cylinders of different cross-section areas. Okay, this hydraulic press system is used to lift vehicles in a auto garage, and this hydraulic press are commonly used for fogging, clenching, punching and metal forming operations. Now look at the picture. It consists of two cylinders of different cross-section areas as shown in figure. They are fitted with pistons of cross-sectional areas A, small a and capital A. The object to be lifted is placed over the piston of large cross-section area, caps A. The force F1 is applied on the piston of small cross-section area. The pressure P produced by small piston is transmitted equally to large piston, and a force F2 acts on A, which is much larger than force F1. So, pressure on piston of small area A is given by P is equal to F1 A1. Applying Pascal law, the pressure on large piston of area A will be the same as that on small piston. So, therefore, we can take pressure is equal to F2 by area A2. Comparing these two equations, we'll get F1 by A1 is equal to F2 by A2. or we can write it as F2 is equal to F1 into A1 by A2 by A1. So this is the ratio A2 by A1 is greater than 1. The force F2 that acts on large piston is greater than the force F1 acting on the smaller piston. So the hydraulic system working in this way are known as force multipliers. What is density? It is a measure of mass per unit mole volume of a material or a substance. How to find the density? By using formula density is equal to mass by volume. What is the formula for density? Density is equal to mass by volume. To understand clearly, let's do one activity about density. Density is the amount of mass in a unit volume of matter. Every substance has different density. To understand this idea of density, let's do this activity in your home. Okay, first step is pour 1/4 cup of honey in a glass, in a transparent glass. Second step, pour 1/4 cup of colored water on top of the honey. Third step, pour 1/4 cup of coconut oil on top of the colored water. Now notice how the different liquid from different layer. Why is it so? Different substance has different density, which means for the same volume, different substance weight differently as they weight. Differently, heavier substance tend to settle at the bottom, like honey, and lighter material like oil tend to float at the top. So in this we will understand density is the amount of mass in a unit volume of matter. Every substance has a different density. Relative density is the ratio between the density of a substance and density of water. The word relative, it means will compare with other. Okay, so relative density means we can compare the densities of two substances by finding their masses. But generally, density of a substance is compared with the density of water at 4 degrees Celsius, because density of water at temperature is 1 gram per centimeter cube. So how to find the density of any other substance with respect to the density of water at 4 degrees Celsius is called the relative density. So relative density is equal to density of substance by density of water. Whether an object will sink or float in a liquid is determined by the density of the object compared to the density of the liquid. If the density of substance is less than the density of the liquid, it will float. For example, a balloon which is less dense than water will float on it. Some substance having more density than water, for example a stone, so will sink into it. Now we'll see the application of principle of flotation, hydrometer. Hydrometer is based on the principle of flotation. Example, the weight of the liquid displaced by the impressed portion of the hydrometer is equal to the weight of the hydrometer. Let's see the construction and working of hydrometer. Hydrometer is one of the application of principle of flotation. It is the instrument used to measure the density or relative density of liquid is called hydrometer. The lower spherical bulb is partially filled with lead shots or mercury. This helps hydrometer to float or stand vertically in liquids. The narrow tube has markings so that relative density of a liquid can be read directly. The liquid to be tested is poured into a glass jar. The hydrometer is gently lowered into the liquid until it floats freely. The reading against the level of liquid touching the tube gives the relative density of the liquid. This hydrometer may be calibrated for different uses such as lactometers for measuring the density of milk. Now we'll see what is lactometer. One form of hydrometer is the lactometer. Is an instrument used to check the purity of milk. The lactometer works on the principle of gravity of milk. Let's see the construction and working of the lactometer. One form of hydrometer is a lactometer. It is an instrument used to check the purity of milk. The lactometer works on the principle of gravity of milk. Lactometer consists of a long graduated test tube with a cylindrical bulb, with graduation ranging from 15 at the top to 45 at the bottom. The test tube is filled with air. The air chamber causes the instrument to float. The spherical bulb is filled with mercury to cause the lactometer to sink up to the proper level and to float in an upright position in the milk. A lactometer measures the cream content of milk. More the cream, lower the lactometer floats in the milk. The average reading of normal milk is 32. Lactometers are used at milk processing units and dairies. Dear student, we already saw that a body experiences an upward force due to the fluid surrounding when it is partially or fully immersed into it. We also know that pressure is more at the bottom and less at the top of the liquid. This pressure difference causes a force on the object and pushes it upward. This force is called buoyant force, or the phenomena is called buoyancy. Most buoyant objects are those with a relatively high volume and low density. If the object weighs less than the amount of water it has displaced, buoyant force will be more and it will float. Such object is known as positively buoyant. But if the object weighs more than the amount of water it has displaced, buoyant force is less and the object will sink. Such object is known as negatively buoyant. So in this floating object we'll say what? Positively buoyant, and sink object is the negatively buoyant. So while sinking there is a buoyant force is less, while floating there is a buoyant force is more. Do you know? Salt water provides more buoyant force than fresh water because buoyant force depends as much on the density of fluids as on the volume displaced. Let's see this activity. In the first glass there is a salt water, so that egg is floating. In the second glass there is a fresh water and egg is sinking. Why? Because salt water is denser than fresh water because of its salt content. The egg will sink in fresh water because it has greater density than the water. The egg will float in the salt water because when salt is added to water, its density becomes greater than that of egg. That makes the egg floats. Next, Cartesian diver. Cartesian diver is an experiment that demonstrates the principle of buoyancy. It is a pen cap with clay. The Cartesian diver contains just enough liquid that it barely floats in the bath of the liquid. Its remaining volume is filled with air. When pressing the bath, the additional water enters the diver, thus increasing the average density of the diver, and thus it sinks. So why it is sinking? When pressing the bath, the additional water enters the diver, thus increasing the average density of the diver so that it sinks. Archimedes principle. Archimedes principle is the consequence of Pascal's law. Consequence means it is the impact or outcome. According to legend, Archimedes devised the principle of the hydrostatic balance after he noticed his own apparent loss in weight while sitting in his bath. The story goes that he was so enthused with his discovery that he jumped out of his bath and ran through the town shouting Eureka. So, Eureka means I have found it. Eureka is the Greek word. It means I have found it. So, he ran through the town shouting Eureka. Archimedes' principle states that when a body is partially or wholly immersed in a fluid, it experiences an upthrust or apparent loss of weight, which is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced by the immersed part of the body. Now we'll understand clearly about Archimedes' principle of buoyancy. Here a 5 kg object immersed in water is shown being acted upon by a buoyancy upward force of 2 kg, which is equal to the weight of the water displaced by the immersed object. The buoyancy force reduces the object apparent weight by 2 kg, that is from 5 kg to 3 kg. So upthrust is equal to weight of the fluid displaced is equal to apparent loss of weight of the body. So upthrust is equal to weight of the fluid displaced is equal to apparent loss of weight of the body. Apparent weight of an object is equal to true weight of the object in air minus upthrust weight of the water displaced. Now, laws of flotation. What are the laws of flotation? The weight of a floating body in a fluid is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced by the body. That's what we learned in Archimedes' principle. The center of gravity of the floating body and the center of buoyancy are the same vertical line. So what is center of buoyancy? The point through which the force of buoyancy is supposed to act is known as center of buoyancy. That is shown in figure underwater and buoyancy.